Hi there, it's Nicole for STAMPtember, and today I have a card featuring the exclusive limited edition Skater Kids stamp set. This is a collaboration between Simon Says Stamp and Mama Elephant, and it's an adorable set of stamps that has several little critters and then bottoms that are different than their tops that you can mix and match, and then the cute little skateboard, several greetings, and little accessory type stamps that you can use, as well as the thought bubble. I'm going to use the dog and then the little star bottoms, and I'm going to stamp the images on some smooth white cardstock using Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and then I'm going to color everything in with Copic markers. I'm going to start by coloring in the little patch around the dog's eye with some darker markers. I'm using E57 and 49, and then I'll move to the rest of the dog here after I blend this out. And I'll use E31, 55, and 57. And you don't want to forget the little feet on the little bottom portion of the animal. Now I'm using the coordinating dies, so I went ahead and stamped the pieces separately. You could also maybe even do a partial die cutting technique if you were wanting to die cut it all as one piece and stamped it all together. Or you could fussy cut them if you prefer, or simply stamp them, together on your project and not have to fiddle with either cutting it out or die cutting at all. Just depends on what you prefer. So here I'm moving on to the rest of the dog. Again, I started with my base color, which was E31. Then I added in a little of my darkest color, which is E57 for this part of the dog. And I went ahead and colored right over that nose because I'm going to darken that anyway, so I didn't even worry about coloring around it. And then I'm going to blend out with my mid-tone color, which is E55, and I can go back with E31 and blend out anything that needs to be blended. So really super cute. At this point, I kind of realized I forgot his feet, so I need to go back over and finish those off so that they match the rest of the cute little puppy fur. And then I also decided to darken up some areas that I felt blended out just a little too much. So again, I went in with E57 and then blended with E55, and I'll finish with E31 for anywhere that has too sharp of a contrast. So just the ends of the ears and the tips of the paws and the middle of the face. I thought I would do my little dot technique where I add some texture to the animal, and after I got started with it, I decided I didn't like it. I left it in the video because I wanted to show you how you can fix that. Even after you have done it with Copic markers, the great thing is you can go over them several times. And you're not going to put a hole in your paper or things like that. So what I'm going to do is go over that with my mid-tone color and blend it out, and then my lightest color, and kind of get rid of some of those little dots. I'm going to go in with E49 then and finish off the nose and add a little R20 for the cheeks. The areas on these images are really small, so I'm not doing a ton of blending. I'm coloring in the little shorts with some blues. I'm using B24 and B26. I'm going in with B24 first, and then I will go in with a little B26, and I don't even really need to blend it out. It doesn't need a ton of blending. It's, like I said, a very small area, so it's really hard to get a whole lot of blending in that kind of an area. For the top, I'm going to use some reds. R24 is my base color, and then I'm going to darken it in some areas and add some shading and shadowing with R46. Again, just a couple colors, not a ton of blending needed. I'm going to color in the stars with a little C1. I didn't even color the whole thing in. It just adds a tiny bit of shadow so they aren't so stark white. I'm using C8 for the wheels. And then for the skateboard itself, I am going to use YR04 and 07 to create an orange skateboard. Again, a very teeny tiny image, not a ton of blending and shading needs to be done here. I'm going to take the coordinating Skater Kid dies now, and I am using some great little snips scissors from Elizabeth Craft Designs. These make cutting apart those dies that coordinate with stamps so super easy. They nest so many of these images together that unless you have some sort of wire cutters to cut them apart, it can be really hard to get all of those little images out. These are great because they're designed especially for our dies. And so it makes it real easy to snip them apart or snip off any of those little things that are sticking off so that you don't, accidentally cut your finger or something like that. Once I had the images that I needed for my card, I'm going to take those coordinating dies, tape them in place with Post-it tape, and run them through my Big Shot die cutting machine. So there are my cute little images to put the puppy on the skateboard and build up that fun little scene. Next, I'm going to take some black cardstock from Simon Says Stamp, and I'm going to take the Thought Bubble stamp image and one of the greetings from the Skater Kid stamp set and stamp it on black cardstock. Now, I used the powder tool first on the black cardstock so that my embossing powder sticks only to the stamped images and doesn't migrate anywhere else. When you're stamping on a dark color like this especially, you don't want to see any flakes of white, in this instance, anywhere else but on the actual stamped design. To make it easier to see, I added my white embossing powder to the Thought Bubble, and then I stamped my greeting and applied the embossing powder, and then went ahead and heat set the whole thing. And then I just went with the die that coordinates and die cut it out. Now, I protected my work surface with the Ranger craft sheet, and I'm applying Abandoned Coral Distress ink to some Tim Holtz watercolor cardstock. It's really dark at the bottom, and then it lightens up. And then I'm going to go in with some Squeezed Lemonade Distress ink and blend those two colors together. I am not going to fill the rest of the watercolor paper with that Squeezed Lemonade. I only want it to go just a little ways up so that the paper goes from white to the Squeezed Lemonade and then Abandoned Coral. Just kind of a different color combination, but I think it works well for the theme of this card. You can go back over where those two colors meet as many times as you need to so that it gives a more seamless appearance and some nice blending. Once I had that all inked up, I'm going to take water in a mini mister and really saturate my paper and kind of spray up a little bit so that I get some fun action going with the distress inks. It starts to really move around the paper. I don't want it puddling like it does on the sides there, so I tend to take either a baby wipe or a paper towel and dab that up just as it dries a little bit. You don't want to dab too much off. And as the paper starts to flatten back out, it just gives a better looking appearance, I think. You can see here what it looks like. I did squeeze some dots once it was all the way dry, and I air dried it. And I'm just kind of dropping water droplets on the paper, and you can see it start to lighten up. I'm going to let that sit for 30 to 60 seconds. I saw this on Christina Werner's YouTube channel. She does this, and I thought it was amazing. And then she dabs it up, and it leaves these nice light spots and really makes an interesting background. I love that she did that, so I thought I would try it here, and I love the results. I die cut the bottom of my panel at a slight angle. I thought it would work well, again, with the theme of the card, and the little skater could be skating along that angle. I just thought it was kind of fun and different. And then I also trimmed some black cardstock to go underneath that and stick out along the bottom. Gives a nice little finished edge along that watercolored background. So there's what my background's going to look like. I'm going to go ahead and stamp the little skater trail there from the Skater Kid stamp set. So it looks like it shows some movement. And I've glued the little dog and skateboard in place already. I'm going to go ahead and glue my panel now to that black cardstock. I'm adding foam adhesive to the back of the die cut greeting. And I'm going to take a nice strong adhesive in case there's any warping, since it's a watercolor background. I always like to use a really strong adhesive to help it lay really flat. And then I took foam adhesive and completely covered the back of this panel so that it really is flat and secure. I don't want it to warp or bow anywhere. And then I'll take the foam adhesive backing off and put my greeting in place. And finally, I am going to glue these Pretty Pink Posh confetti and sequins along the background of my card. I think it adds a fun kind of touch. It fills in what's going on with the rest of the card and is just a really simple, nice finishing touch to the design. I'll darken up the eyes with a black gel pen and add a little black gel pen to the centers of the wheels there. And my card is all finished. Oh, a little white dots for the cheeks. I forgot I added those. Thanks for watching this video showcasing the limited edition exclusive Skater Kids stamp set from Simon Says Stamp and Mama Elephant. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.